Okay.
Yes. Okay, so I'm going to come out and say it, even if it hurts. Barbie was a way better movie than Oppenheimer.
Why was Barbie better than Oppenheimer?
Well, I think that Oppenheimer, while having great actors and great cinematography, and Christopher Nolan's horrible sound design, where everybody is drowned out in the music and you only hear mumbling, I think that Oppenheimer was quite unsurprising. They basically milked the Oppenheimer's life story for any amount of drama they could get. And we are left with, okay, it was super ambiguous whether he gave the bomb to the Russians. And also, everybody thought that they were super important, and this is the main driving force of their psychology. So you have pretty monothematic characters and a story that is in many ways to be expected. So it was an okay movie. I enjoyed watching it. There's really nothing wrong with it. And I think it might even have some rewatch value, possibly even more than Barbie because the pictures were better. But I think that Barbie marks a milestone in the way in which people in Hollywood are looking at gender these days. And because it is changing the culture or is describing a particular perspective on culture shift, I think it might be a significant movie that people look back to and realize, okay, this is how some of our narratives were reflected and possibly changed. I don't know if you want to go into this, if you're interested in these topics. What I found interesting is that Barbie is not about whether you should be woke or not be woke. Right? It's much more interesting in this regard. It's more um, describing the motive behind Barbie. Barbie is displayed as a shift from girls playing with baby dolls to boys identifying with a doll that is her later in life. So, what is the thing that you want to be? Do you want to be a mom? Do you want to have a family? Do you want to reproduce? Is this your place in the society, in the world? Or is the world a place where you can get whatever you want and girls get everything? And it's very often we have this stereotypical accusation against Barbie that she is positing an impossible body scheme and puts pressure on girls to be like Barbie. And the main character ironically refers to this by calling herself, I am stereotypical Barbie. But she lives not alone in Barbie, but in Barbie Land. And Barbie Land is full of different Barbies that represent the different ideals that girls might aspire to. So there are, of course, Barbies of all colors, and there are Barbies of different body shapes. And they also pursue very different careers. You have Supreme Court Judge Barbie, you have President Barbie, you have CEO Barbie, and all the other things that you might want to be. So it's not just horse Barbie. And the only thing that Mattel discontinued was pregnant Barbie because that was weird. And our main Barbie character lives in Barbie Land. Every night is girls' night. And while she has Ken, her boyfriend, he's just an accessory. And she has many Kens, and they're all interchangeable. And there is no real place for Kens in this world except as an accessory. So there's no male role model in the Barbie world. And the whole thing starts with stereotypical Barbie being confronted with a fear of death.
So
And this means that her own vision of self-actualization and getting everything that she wants, everything is party and so on, does not have an endpoint. There is no salvation. There is no end game in this. And this is, in some sense, what she notices.
so do you think Barbie is like a critic of modern society, of less patriarchy, more people changing genders? Is this what you're saying?
No, I think it's more a criticism of too simplistic ideology. It is, the world is too complicated to be described by a single narrative. And they do show that Barbie was not invented by Mattel to modify girls in a more consumerist way. But the creator of Barbie is being displayed as someone who doesn't have children herself and has higher ideals and wants to empower girls that, in some sense, she sees as the daughters that she doesn't have, to go out in the world and become modern and self-actualize. Not just as a mother, as somebody who is somebody else's accessory, who is a secretary, but somebody who can really go all places. So in many ways, it's a very classical feminist position that is being affiliated with it. And when Barbie realizes that the girl that is playing with her is unhappy, she travels out in the real world to meet her. And initially she thinks it's a girl, and the girl is some kind of Zoomer girl who really hates Barbie and has no relationship to her whatsoever and never really played with Barbie. And turns out this was not her, but it was actually about her mother. And her mother is a single mom who tries to raise her daughter, and it doesn't really work that well for her. She's really not happy and unfulfilled, and she is in some sense confronting the fact that Barbie didn't completely work out for her because the world is more complicated than this. And both Ken and Barbie go on some kind of transition. Ben is trying to build his own patriarchy after he comes out in the real world and he realizes that in the real world, some people actually do respect men and men can have their places, and realizes that we can make some kind of men's rights movement. And it's clear that this men's rights movement by itself is also very incomplete and not really sustainable. It's born out of the need to appeal Barbie and to control her and get access to her. And it's not about building an own strong identity that works in the world. But there's also this underlying issue that men and women are incomplete alone. And we have to build relationships with each other, not necessarily heterosexual relationships, but without relationships, people are incomplete. And also without families, there will be no next generation. And so in many ways, Barbie is understanding that the thing that she did before is not working, and she is even apologizing to Ken that the kind of relationship they had was not really respectful of him. But this doesn't mean that she now wants to have a relationship with him. He's still stupid from her perspective. And there is no easy answer. The answer that is being told is mostly Barbie is a lie. Barbie is an illusion. It's a simple ideology. The patriarchy is a simple ideology. The world is much more complicated than all these things. And how do you deal with this complication? You actually have to go back into your feelings. What you actually experience about reality is much depth as you can make. And it doesn't mean that stuff is being resolved. There is no easy sailing off on the sunset. But there is a chance that you get in touch with who you actually are. Don't fall for the narratives. Reality is always more complicated than this.